Welcome back to the James McGee Show. I am your host. I am James McGee, and we are live for the first episode of the Daily Dose. I will be coming at you for less than 20 minutes every weekday morning, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time for a daily dose of what is going on in our world. I'm out here on the patio. Looks like it's going to be a beautiful day. Got the birds chirping. I live on the water. Might have some ducks quacking. You won't hear them, but we might have an alligator come up too. So let's get started with the 27th day of the government shutdown, known as the Schumer shutdown. So the first thing is let's debunk the Democrat propaganda that is the Republicans' fault, because Republicans control the House, control the Senate, and control the presidency. That is true. But what they're not telling you, of course, they won't tell you, because they are a bunch of lying, filthy animals, is that Republicans have 53 seats in the Senate. Okay. The Senate, the Democrats have 45 seats in the Senate. Hey, my friend, good morning, Candace. So, and there's 2 independents in the Senate. To open the government, you have to have 60 votes. Well, right now there's 55. You've got all 3 Republican senators that are voting, and you have 1 Democrat and 1 independent. So anybody that says otherwise, anybody that repeats that is not only stupid. Good morning, Jason from One More and I'm Out of Here. Thank y'all both for being here with us on our first daily dose. So anybody that repeats that it's Republicans could open it is not only they're stupid, they're obviously stupid, they're just a puppet for the for the Democrat filthy animal liberal party. So one thing that is in danger of being November 1st that will affect 42 million people. 42. Candace Candace is watching on Facebook, Jason. So Candace is with us also. I don't think you can see her comments because she is viewing on Facebook. So one thing, 42 million people are in danger of losing their SNAP benefits. The official name is Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Well, my day we call them food stamps. You had the paper stamps, so that's what we will refer to them as, food stamps. 12%, 42 million Americans, 12% of America receives SNAP. So that's a travesty if the people that need food. I can't stand seeing people hungry. But bigger than that, what is alarming to me and should be alarming to you is that we actually have, good morning, Tyler, we actually have 42 million people on government assistance food. That's just food stamps. 42 million people. 12% of our country is on food stamps. That should be alarming in itself. So we're going to break that down. So before we break that down, I got a little video. Now, look, I know I'm probably going to get in trouble for this one. But you know what? At this point, with how fucked up our government is, what can you do? All you can do is laugh a little bit. And it's Monday morning. It's early. So let's have a laugh. I found this video. Now, if you are my age, you grew up in the 80s and in the early 90s, then one of the people that you would listen to would be LL Cool J. So I found a parody on LL Cool J, and like I said, it's probably inappropriate. But you know what? I'm pretty inappropriate a lot of times, so we're just gonna play it anyway. If I get in trouble, somebody criticizes me for it, then they just criticize me for it. So let's play this.
room. I hear my stomach go boom. I'll be hungry than the motherfucker watching cartoons. All I want is some food, cereal with a spoon, chicken flavored oodle noodles with the Kool-Aid too. But they cut my stamps cause the government whack got me fiending on the corner like I'm looking for crack. I need stamps. I need stamps.
You gotta admit that's funny. So government, people need their stamps. Get off your ass and get people what they need. Now, let's get back to the biggest issue that I talked about. There's a major issue in this country if 42 million people need this government assistance. And I did a little research on it. So in 20 years, just in 20 years, now that doesn't seem like a long time, right? In 20 years, guess how many people were on SNAP benefits 20 years ago? 28 million. Now we're at 42, a 75% increase in just 20 years. Why? That's what we need to be looking at more than this temporary problem right now of getting people the food that they need, which I don't think that is the government's job to feed us and support us. And I think that that's a community job. And look, I know people who are on stamps. And if they lose them on November 1st, I'm going to do, I'm not a rich guy, but I'm blessed. I'm going to help people out. And that's what we should do. If we're fortunate, if we're blessed, we help people out that we know need help, deserve help, try to help themselves, who are not scamming the system. We should help them. But it's not the government's responsibility to raise us and support us. So I know some people are going to say, well, we've had a population increase. Well, let's look at the population increase. So the population has increased since 2025, 15%. Went from 295 million to 342 million. It's 15%. So 15% increase, but we have 75% more people on stamps, on government assistance. That's, like I said, that's just on SNAP. There's other forms of government assistance, Medicaid, welfare, that probably the same people are getting, but that should alarm you that 42 million people are getting this type of assistance. So let's talk about why. Now, there's three things that I came up with of why. Number one, inflation. That's an argument that should be made. Yes, inflation. We have priced people out. Most jobs are not keeping up. Wages are not keeping up with inflation, right? I see that. I've seen that. So that's definitely one. The government has outspent us and caused this just inflation, and mainly the Democrats. The stats are there. You can't argue with that. The Democrats went from 20 years ago, they were still the party, the blue dog Democrat. They were pro-labor. That's what they were. And now and just in 20 years, the Democrats have gone from that pro-labor, pro-union to socialists, communists. Tax and spend, tax and spend, tax and spend, tax the rich. Well, I can tell you what, I ain't fucking rich. I do okay. But they have taxed it's the middle class that they are taxing the fuck out of, because everybody knows that the rich, the way that it is designed in the tax code, they don't pay the taxes. We're the ones paying the taxes. So the tax to rich thing ain't working. You're killing people. You're killing every average working American. So they have outpriced people into homelessness, into needing government assistance. So what the government's doing is just shooting themselves in the foot. They're taxing us. The inflation. They're spending so much, causing inflation, causing more people government assistance. So it's just the government causing this whole big circle. So fraud is another reason. It's an age-old issue. People lie about it. They either don't need them at all, or they get more than they need. And look, I'm not saying this is right. I will say that I never did it, but I knew some policemen back in the '90s. And look, policemen don't make a lot now, but where I'm from, make a whole lot more than we did in the '90s. I talked about that on one of my recent shows. I knew some policemen that would buy. You'd get people that would get food stamps. That was back in the old paper stamp days, and they were selling them for pennies on the dollar. They were buying 30, 40 cents on the dollar. It's not right, but that's what people were doing. They're getting more than they need. They were selling them for pennies on the dollar and going buy liquor, probably buying drugs, and that's was a big form of abuse. So a couple things that how do they abuse them? Well, they don't claim, or they don't claim all their income, or don't claim any income. Well, they work for cash. This is the problem. Nobody wants to talk about this one right here. They have more kids so they can get more. You know that happens. They have more kids so they can get more assistance. I know people that have turned down promotions, have turned down raises, and taken demotions so they didn't lose their government assistance. That's not what government assistance is for. I also known people that they either don't get married, but they're together. They don't get married, or they even go as far as getting a divorce so they can claim less income and stay on government assistance. That is a big part of fraud, and that is a big part of abuse. So before I go on to my third reason, let's look at some of the comments. Candace says, time to step back to work. You damn right, Candace. Yes, Tyler, the ladies love cool James McGee. James McGee is no longer cool, and thank God the ladies no longer love it. So we are told there are no jobs. Yeah, there's jobs. Let me tell you what. I'll get on that one day this week about jobs. That's a good topic, Tyler. If you want to work and you want to make money in this country, you can work and make country, and I don't care what anybody else says otherwise. Yeah, Candace, you're right. I think that we need to do a better job and put our money where our mouth is. And yeah, our country, we can help. It's the responsibility of us. It's not our responsibility, but we should, as Americans, help other Americans. When the government gets involved, everybody knows we depend on the government, but we also all know that when the government gets involved in something, they fuck it all up. So why do we want to let them keep getting involved? You're right, Jason. Sad part is politicians don't care about their constituents, and they don't care about anything but getting in office. You and I talked about that recently. All it comes down to is protecting the brand. You and I and Dexter talked about that. That's what politics are, is protecting the brand. So let's look at the last one. Now, the last one could be a little controversial. I don't care, and that's why I'm doing this every morning, because I want to be controversial. When I started this show over a year ago, my biggest thing was being provoking. I want to provoke your thought. So to me, the number one reason why we're in the position that we're in is systemic welfare. This is when welfare is taught from generation to generation. It becomes a way of life. And it is taught, handed down. So we just showed the numbers in the last 20 years, how a 75% increase. Well, in my opinion, this is one of the reasons, if not the main reason, of why we have arrived here. Instead of teaching how to escape welfare, they're taught how to keep it. People are teaching the next generation how to keep it, how to abuse the system, how to use the system. There is never a plan or a desire in some of these households to get off of government assistance. The plan and what's taught is how to keep it. Now, let me tell y'all something real quick. I always get accused when I start talking about things about being a racist. This has nothing to do with race, because I also did the demographics. That's what I'm not talking about race, but I'm going to tell you that it's a little higher on some races, but it's not one race abusing the system. It's not one race getting government assistance. It's pretty much equally out there. White people, you got some dirty whites out there that have been living for generations on government assistance. So it's not a race issue. Okay, so get that out of your head. Let me give you this a hypothetical. There's this hypothetical, but this very well could happen. Let's just look at over 3 generations what could happen. A man and a woman has 3 kids, all right? And they are on government assistance throughout their life. And they are taught that the government is supposed to raise you. And so that's 5 people on assistance. Those 3 people grow up, they each have 3 kids. They're on government assistance. Next generation, they have 3 kids. So in 3 generations, that number just in one family goes from 55 for 5 people on government assistance to 51 people on government assistance. Okay, is that reality? I don't know. I don't know if that's happening. But could it happen? Yes, it very well could. Something got us there. We are raising entitled generations, not expressing, and we're not expressing reality. And here's what reality is. Nobody is coming to save you. It's nobody's responsibility to fucking feed you and raise you. And here's a bigger problem. We are electing more socialists and communists and allowing our education institutions to indoctrinate this philosophy and teach this. And this should be alarming more than the financial burden of our nation. The fact that it has went up 75% in 20 years should be alarming to everyone because of what the big picture is or what we are producing. So that's it for today's daily dose of the James McGee Show. 2 things remember every single day. The world doesn't give a fuck about you and owes you absolutely nothing. Nobody is coming to save you. Until tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, like and subscribe so you get the notification. McGee is